Okay. Start at 7:30. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Borough Green Tree Council meeting for October 2nd, 2023. For our moment of silence this evening, please take a minute to remember someone who meant a lot to you in your life. We're fortunate enough we don't have any serious, terrible things to have to think about, so think about something positive tonight. And then we'll follow that by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Kim.
Ms. Barron?
Here.
Mr. Lindsay?
Here.
Mr. Panza?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Romanovich? Mr. Torresi?
Present.
Mr. Tintori?
Present.
Mayor Shane?
Present. Just to point out, Judy Miller was flying back from Chicago and her plane was delayed hours. So literally she just landed about 7:15. So I really don't anticipate her finally getting here. So we will just move ahead. First off, we need approval of the minutes for September 11, 2023.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. A second. Second. A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I abstain. I wasn't present.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we'd like to have a hearing of the citizens. Anyone interested in discussing general business or agenda items, please step up to the mic.
Good evening, everyone. Cheryl Bacon, 884 Green Tree Road. I'd like to compliment council and the members of the Oktoberfest committee for a fine job at Oktoberfest this year, just a couple of weeks ago. As you know, my house is directly across the street from the park, so I have a front row seat to the fireworks every year, which is great. I would also like to suggest or question why we've gone from a 2-day festival to just a 1-day festival. All of the surrounding communities, west and south of us, have 2-day festivals. And I'd like us to explore, if possible, bringing the festival back to 2 days for 2024, if that's possible. I understand the cost to set up and install the tents and so on is the same, whether we do 1 day or 2 day, or approximately the same. So it would seem to me that we could get more community members and more members from other communities to come join in our fun if we held it for 2 days. The second thing I wanted to discuss with council as part of my planning commission duties is the setting of the public meeting for the revisions to the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission has worked very, very hard and diligently over the last 2 years to bring you revisions to the plan, and we're almost done. And with your approval, we would like to set the public meeting the Planning Commission will hold for November 15th, which is our regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting, and that would begin at 7 p.m. If that is in agreement with you, we would like to see this meeting advertised at our November council meeting, which would be on the 6th of November. We'd like to see it publicized through email blasts, which were discontinued earlier this year. And we'd also like to see it advertised on the website, as well as the revised plan posted on the website as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Don Gup, Green Tree Fire Chief, 825 Poplar Street. Last year, we went in on a grant for SEA bottles with other departments around here, and we were rewarded that. The beginning of the year, we got the acceptance and we got it. The reward was for about $128,000. Unfortunately, that only did 2/3 of our riding seats in our trucks. The borough's kind enough to take our budget and we can use it, and we put it through to help us purchase the additional with our fundings and the boroughs for all the extra riding seats on our apparatus. That was an additional 11. So that was about 30 altogether. I want to thank the borough for helping us do this and understanding that everything that supports us that way is for the community and for us, for our protection. We really appreciate it. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Our
Any
pleasure.
questions on it?
Thank you.
You can follow up on that probably.
I was going to, when we got to,
If you need anything, I got
new
other.
business. Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Don. Anyone else?
May I make a statement before we move on to new business?
Certainly.
Thank you. It's gonna be a little long, so bear with me.
Well, maybe why don't we wait till you just, it's your point.
It's important that I do it now.
Okay,
Wait a minute, we have one more. set of-
hold on.
Yeah.
We have
Okay.
someone.
Excuse me. Aldo R. Colati, 143 Sheldon, Pittsburgh 15220. I'm here concerning the repeated water main breaks that are happening on Sheldon Avenue. I think there's been like 4 of them in the last month or so. They're getting really annoying and inconvenient. And on top of that, I think they're a public health and safety issue. I understand the borough's not in charge of the water. You folks don't maintain and repair the water lines. But I know some of them have affected fire hydrants at times. And there was one this morning, and that's what's prompting, I believe the one this morning also affected Park Edge perhaps also. There's quite a few houses down there. And I reported it to the Borough Council, Borough Office this morning. And I also reported this to the water company. It spoke to them, the customer service people after extended hold time. And I did call back with an update. The water was restored, thankfully, sooner than it's been restored in the past. I believe it was about 3 or 4 hours today. But I think it's something the Borough Council and the mayor should be aware of. I don't know if you folks would, express any concern to the water company regarding these kind of things, but I think it's a concern. And so I left a message with the borough office, as I said this morning, of course. I wasn't expecting immediate response, but when I realized that the council meeting was this evening, I figured it was best to address it now than to wait another month. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, well, now we'll move on to new business. And before that, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Tintori. As I said, this is gonna take a minute. I appreciate you bearing with me, and it's not gonna be easy for me. As members of Green Tree Borough Council, we have sworn to fulfill our duties faithfully and impartially to the best of our abilities in accordance with the laws and ordinances governing our community. The residents and taxpayers of Green Tree have entrusted us with the responsibility of overseeing all municipal matters, including personnel affairs. In instances where we must deliberate on individual employee matters, we convene in a specialized session, as we call executive session. Section 401 of our borough's charter states, special meetings may be called by the president of council and must be called upon written consent, written requests of at least 3 members thereof. Members shall have at least 24 hours notice of such special meetings. The notice shall state whether it is for general or special purposes, and if it is for special purposes, the notice shall contain a statement of the nature of the business to be considered. Those special purposes, according to section 403 in the charter, include, among others, matters pertaining to elected or appointed officials, and individual employees. In section 310, the Borough Charter states, no individual member of council shall have any authority whatsoever under the charter unless such authority is specifically delegated by the charter or by the council acting as a body. So in summary, executive sessions must be called by the president of council when at least 3 members of council request it and he or she doesn't have the authority to deny the request based on his opinion. Here's why this is so important. A substantial personnel matter surfaced in late July, early August that I brought up for discussion. After many emails, council decided to hold an executive session to discuss the matter. In an email on September 1st, the borough manager stated that she would bring all relevant information to the executive session. The executive session was held on September 11th, 43 days after the issue was brought into question. We ended up not having all the relevant information as promised, specifically a detailed report needed to make informed decisions, even though that report could be generated easily. The meeting was rushed, and I was out of town on business, attending virtually. There was no consideration of my in-person availability, even though I originated the issue. The meeting resulted in council deciding not to engage external legal counsel to investigate the matter, even though our solicitor recommended doing so previously in an email to council. However, during that meeting, we never ruled out the possibility of conducting an internal assessment, particularly given the absence of important relevant information. On Friday, September 15th, the important relevant information supporting the original concerns was provided to council by the borough manager. Same data that was supposed to be reviewed at the September 11th meeting. Based on what was contained in the report, I immediately requested an executive session to be scheduled on Monday, September 18th to discuss the personnel matter and that only members of council be present. That was 17 days ago today. To illustrate the gravity of this matter, when we vote on the payroll account this evening, I will vote no due to what I perceive as inconsistencies in the payroll account based on what is included in the important report. My request for executive session followed the charter. Mr. Panza, Mr. Lindsay, and myself all agreed to the need of the meeting via email, and I included a statement of the nature of business to be considered. Mr. Romanovich also replied, indicating that he wasn't available on the 18th. Recall that section 401 of the Borough Charter states, special meetings may be called by the president of council and must be called upon written requests of at least 3 members thereof. Emails and phone calls asking Council President Tintori when the meeting was to be scheduled occurred several times in the past 17 days. His first reply to my request was on September 19th, asking for the agenda and a reason for urgency, even though my request was included in the chain of emails regarding the matter. He asked again on September 21st. Both times I referenced personnel issues. Also on September 21st, he asked me to be transparent and provide a reason why I didn't invite the manager or solicitor, to which I responded, I will absolutely share the reason when we meet. After we meet with the manager, I'll ask for another meeting that includes her. Nothing in the charter states that the borough manager or solicitor need to be present at executive session. On September 25th, Mr. Tintori sent an email stating, sorry for the delay in scheduling this meeting. The borough solicitor, Kate, is out of town this week. I will get back in touch with her today to determine when she is available. I will send out a notice to make sure everyone on council can attend. That was 7 days ago. And recall, this is a personnel issue. The borough solicitor does not advise us on personnel issues. We have a labor attorney for that. I also made it clear that her presence wasn't required in my initial request. This morning, I found an email from Mr. This morning, I found an email from Mr. Tintori that he sent last night informing us of an executive session after tonight's meeting. He did not include a purpose for the meeting and it indicated that he believed only Mr. Romanovich to be available. I never received an email from Mr. Tintori asking about my availability. Leading up to this, over the past 17 days, Mr. Tintori, as council president, never asked for anyone's availability to meet, even though he promised to do so in his September 25th email. Little if any effort has been made to schedule the executive session to discuss the serious personnel issue. I can only assume the council president inherently disagrees with the issue and is abusing his authority to delay the meeting. I also find it interesting that he scheduled an executive session for after tonight's meeting, not before. I also don't know if the meeting he scheduled tonight is for the serious personnel issue. Art, this is not personal. Everything that I stated is fact and can be supported by email correspondence. We have an obligation to the taxpayers of Green Tree. Sitting back and ignoring this matter is negligent and not meeting the performance expectations of the residents of Green Tree have for us and you as council president. You have been a friend and a colleague, so it pains me to proceed with this. But I swore an oath, and in my right mind, I cannot sit back and sweep this under the rug. You must be held accountable for not following the borough charter, especially on a matter of this magnitude. If you had been more responsive, council could have obtained the necessary information and clarity regarding the personnel issue before the payroll account vote. Even scheduling the meeting before tonight's public meeting, although considerably delayed, would have been more acceptable course of action. Therefore, I am formally requesting your immediate resignation from the position of council president due to negligence of your duties.
Thank you very much. You done?
No. Then I propose a motion for the removal of Mr. Tentori as council president for negligent of duty and failing to schedule the executive session as mandated by the borough charter.
So we talk about the fact that.
There's a motion.
You have a motion.
Oh, okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Oh, aye.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Do we need a roll call vote for that?
You don't need one,
We don't need one,
but you can recall.
but if you want one, we'll do one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Ms. Barron,
No.
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
No.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Troisi,
No.
Mr. Tentori.
No. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
But I would like to state my reason why I voted no. I voted no because, as the charter says, David, the council president needs written request. Now, yes, we had some emails asking Art to
I
have.
can provide you the
meeting.
email right now, Mr.
I understand, but
There's a written request.
I interpret that as if we each would have wrote Art a letter saying, directly saying, we request a,
You
Meeting.
said that you wanted to meet. I can show you. the
and
email.
I agree 100% with that, yes.
So what is your reasoning?
I don't think, I think using the charter for that reason.
Then let's throw the charter out the window.
No, I don't think we fulfilled our necessary due diligence on the
Would you like me-
requirements of the charter.
I'll read it again.
Then I would have to defer to the solicitor and ask her,
This is
is an email?
verbatim. Go ahead.
Okay, no.
Ask the question. It's your.
I'm sorry.
I already spoke. Go ahead.
Kate, do you have an understanding of what,
I do, and I
Hold
will
on.
say that I think that within the charter, the requirements are special meeting can be requested. It is to be called by council president, and at least 24 hours notice needs to be given. I would say that that the timing for when that special meeting needs to occur is not spelled out within the charter. And so I think there is discretion there for council president to call that meeting. I also think that as president of council, council president has discretion to decide who should be in attendance at that meeting. And so president of council chose to delay that meeting until I could be present. And this was as soon as I could be present.
okay, but my question specifically was,
Were you not
By-
present before
okay,
September 18th? You were out of town last week.
When we spoke, I was out of town when I talked to him about this matter.
So he delayed to
Yeah.
ask you. Okay, I presented all the facts. I have the emails that outline everything. And Mr. Panza, There's an email in 2023 is considered a written request. I'm not going to write a handwritten note and put a stamp on it. That is a written request. That was your question to the solicitor.
Okay, yeah, that's my question to the solicitor.
Email is writing, yes.
Yeah.
So,
It's a written request.
so. Okay. Okay, you answered it. That's fine.
So
Okay, so we move on.
I don't think did you finish, did you vote?
He did.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
voted
You voted
I
no?
voted yeah.
Even
Yes.
after you got the detail that you were looking for, that an email was a written request?
The detail was also that the solicitor was notified
Okay, so
and
if you
knew that
got-
she couldn't be
said-
here.
Yeah.
So that's why we delayed it for you.
Great, let's continue to delay. You're now going to make a vote on a payroll count, knowing information that information that some of you have direct, visible evidence that that account is wrong.
I wish we could discuss the real issue.
Or if you
behind
would
all
have
this.
called an
But
executive
we're not allowed
session,
to talk
if
about
you would have
that,
called an
so
executive
I have to
session
let him talk.
before this meeting, we could have had it.
I did, but you
didn't.
you did not want the borough
When did you-
manager,
When did you,
so I had it this evening, so the
When-
solicitor will be.
why didn't you call it before the meeting?
I did,
No, you called it after.
never mind.
You said you called the meeting.
You
When-
just wanna play a game.
I want to play a game.
The meeting was
I
called
wanna
for
play a
this
game.
evening
I'm
because
the one that's
the
dishonest,
solicitor, yeah, right,
You
okay.
called me dishonest.
I didn't,
You said I had an
well,
axe to grind, and you said I do a disservice.
not for this, for the reasons why we had the meeting, and that could be anybody.
Try to talk your way out of it.
I'm not talking my way out of it, you're making it all up.
I'm making it
I
all up.
hope you
Great.
enjoy yourself.
I would encourage everyone to do a right to know request and look at the emails, or I can.
Oh, I
provide
wish
them
you they
myself.
would do a right to know request for the person that, the reason why this is all here. And if you want to do that to cover yourself up, fine.
Cover myself up for what, Art?
No
I have
comment
nothing
anymore.
to cover.
No comment,
I have nothing to cover.
no comment,
You're the one who keeps talking.
no comment. Much to do about nothing.
Much to do about nothing.
Yes,
If I were to tell the residents of this borough right now.
Please do.
What the much to do about nothing is,
please do.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to.
You're not allowed to.
I'm not
No,
allowed to, so
please
don't say
do.
please do. If
Well,
they knew what this
That's
issue
right.
was,
If they knew the issue and the results, you're right. They would be surprised that you're doing this.
I doubt that.
come on,
To new
Art.
business. Go on to new
We're moving to
Yeah,
new
new
business
business.
because we're just spinning our wheels here.
No, we're
No
not.
one needs to
We're
argue,
governing.
though. Let's
That's
go.
your opinion.
Okay,
If
file the
everyone
right
is-
to know.
Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and thank you for saying your
File the
opinion.
right to know.
That's fine. I will not be filing a right to
No,
know.
I'm telling them to file the right to know.
Whatever.
Okay, do you,
Let's move on,
let's
please.
please move on to new business.
Yes, we're just
You're
gonna-
not, no one's gonna solve anything in this fighting. Please move on.
Okay, we're moving on to new business. Mr. Troisi. Finance and general policy.
Thank you. We move that we ratify the action of the borough manager paying the September 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $61,926.87. Farmers market totaling $758.50. Fire department apparatus totaling $36,000. Payroll account totaling $207,766.67. Educational Service Agency totaling $5,400.81. And credit card, August 2023, $10,031.58.
We need a second? Nobody's making a second?
I mean, I can make the second.
I have
Okay.
a question.
We have a motion and a second. Any further
I
discussion?
have a question. Kate, I want to vote no just to the payroll account. Am I able to do that?
Yes, you
How?
are. I think we should do a roll call, and when it's your turn, you could say yes for all but.
Okay.
You voting no on the whole
No, I just
sum
No,
of the
just-
payroll account?
I don't have that information, so I had to vote no in the total because I don't have the information that I
So
need.
you're voting to hold back all of the payroll regardless of who it goes to.
If we had an executive session prior to this, Mr. Torosi, this wouldn't have been an issue.
Okay,
I've got some discussion.
pardon me?
I just want to clarify.
Yes, please.
So in the motion, it makes reference to the fire department apparatus fund. This is what Chief Goff was referring to earlier, and I just wanted to clarify. It has nothing to do with apparatus. It's for the self-contained breathing apparatus bottles for the fire company that he was referring to. We had moved, if you guys remember, we had moved money at the end of last year that we didn't use at the fire company over to the fire apparatus fund because we knew this purchase was coming. And I just wanted to clarify that's where that money came from. It's not, it was just in the apparatus fund.
I have another question.
Thank you.
Kate, can I vote no for to hold back payment to a specific person or position?
Say no.
But I don't.
That's, I mean, the motion is for the payroll account.
Okay.
Unless we can break it down, I think we go.
You want to mention what particular person you wanted to not have payroll for?
Well, quit trying to set me up.
No, I'm
Yeah.
just asking.
Come on. I'm smarter than that.
Because
Oh,
like,
okay.
if there was one particular bill, like if we're saying pay all the general invoices, and then you see bill the plumber for $10,000, and you go, I agree with everything, but I need to know about this one. I'm sure you're allowed not to vote to pay so-called bill the plumber and vote for everything else. So that would, but I'm not the solicitor, so I don't know.
So, I mean, if we want, right now, so the motion on the table is for a number of different items that we all typically council lists together for payment. For this evening, if you wanted, you could do an amended motion and do each one separately.
Or why can't you make one an exception? Say, we would like to approve everything in the payroll account except one thing.
You could do either way.
Well, I don't know if I can be specific in that one thing.
Just vote no for the whole motion, Mr. Ray. Let's move on.
Okay, we have a motion
In a second.
and a
Go
second.
ahead,
All in favor? We'll do a roll call.
Mr. Torosi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Abstain.
Mr. Lindsay,
Abstain.
Mr. Panza,
Abstain.
Mr. Wright,
I vote no, specifically for the payroll account. And I want to be very clear that this has to do with one employee, not all the employees in the borough.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. So what do we got?
2 yeses, 1 no, 3 abstentions.
Pardon me? What is that?
I want to be clear, I'm abstaining because we are voting to pay my husband on this bill. And I abstain.
I got
Yeah.
you. So I guess that doesn't.
Good clarity.
What is your suggestion?
I can't do.
Doesn't that pass?
You have 2 yeses, the majority of those who voted. I mean, typically for abstentions, the standard practice is that you state why you're abstaining. So that's generally what I recommend.
I'm abstaining for the reasons brought up by Mr. Ray.
Which was,
You just gave a half-hour speech. I'm abstaining for that reason.
The personnel and payroll
It's a
issue.
personnel person. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, he's talking about the payroll account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's abstaining for that.
So you're saying because,
Just told you for the reasons that he brought up.
So So just to be clear, the motion on the table was to ratify all the payments. We have 2 yeses, we have 1 no from Mr. Ray, we have an abstention from Ms. Barron because her husband was on the payroll, and your abstention is due to the same reason as Mr. Ray's. No, vote, correct? Okay. Mr. Panda, and your.
My abstention is that I don't feel this is a proper motion for the situation. I feel we should amend the motion, approve the payroll account with an exception of 1 payment.
So
So what does it pass?
We were just told that that wasn't an option. Is that an option?
So
Yes,
I
she said it was.
would recommend.
You have to name it
against
first.
Please stop and
naming-
let her talk.
I would recommend against naming an individual. I think that's a personnel matter that's best for executive session. I agree with Mr. Panza that sometimes you have like a contractor and you're like, oh, we're not sure on this one, we're gonna pull this one, and that can be a decision of council or a decision of one matter of council. And that's not the same as what we have in front of us tonight. It's a borough employee, and as it's a personnel matter, I'm going to recommend against naming an employee.
What if it's not?
I'm going to recommend against naming the employee in an identifiable way.
Which would include
Regardless.
Which would include the position.
the position.
So his abstention is invalid.
No, it's valid.
And it is what it is.
Okay.
He has abstained. You have 2 yeses, 1 no. I believe that passes, and I will confirm, because it's a majority of those who voted as opposed to a majority of a quorum or a majority of those who are here. But-
Well, no, I mean, the majority would be an abstention then. So the vote's
That just-
abstain. The vote is abstain.
You,
That's
you held,
clearly 3 is more than 2 and 1.
Ron, you held your vote.
Abstentions can't control. So
Yeah.
I think we're going with yes. I will.
You would have to move to table the motion or something like that.
If you're not sure, then we have to table the
You're not.
motion.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion, we table this motion.
Second.
If we're gonna table, it, we need to break it up.
Well, we already approved the motion. We already approved it.
Okay,
2-1.
But
So
the
there's no
solicitor
need
was
to,
not sure. She
there's
said
no
she
need
wasn't-
to do anything else.
The
Well,
solicitor, she said
If
she
someone
wasn't
wants to
sure.
rescind their motion at this time, or
okay, I'll rescind my motion. I mean, I'll rescind, no, go ahead. Who made the motion?
I made the motion
Okay.
that the payments, you just made a motion to table it.
But it's too late because the motion already
It was already.
may be passed. She's not
Well, it was
exactly
already
sure.
voted on.
So why don't we make a motion to change the motion that may be passed?
We just had a vote and it was, according to the solicitor, it appears that it passed. So there's no, can't go back on that, can we? Just made a motion.
so you can have a motion to reconsider if we want to come back to this.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we reconsider all this.
Now or at a
If-
later time?
Now, and if the majority agrees, the motion comes back on the floor as though the vote had not occurred. I'm so glad I brought my Robert Rules cheat sheet with me tonight.
Thank goodness.
Very
Very
good.
helpful.
There you go.
Okay,
So if the majority agrees, you can do a motion to reconsider and we can,
okay. We'll make a motion to reconsider. I'll make a motion to reconsider.
What do we reconsider?
I think the whole
The-
motion, you just start over.
The whole motion to ratify the, I'll make a motion to reconsider the motion that approved ratifying the actions of the borough manager and paying the September 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling 61 so and so.
Second.
So we have a motion to reconsider.
Yeah. In a second.
And a second. All in favor of reconsidering, or do you want to do we should do a roll call.
Mr. Troisi,
No,
Ms. Barron,
No,
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes,
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Historic.
Mr. Tintori.
No.
Wow. Wow. This has been what, 26 years?
The mayor gets to vote.
You must see
26
TV.
years, yes.
You want to go and retire this speech?
Yes. Wait, someone should take a picture of this.
Thanks for making me laugh.
He said yes.
What did you say?
Yes. You voted
Okay,
yes?
he voted yes.
I think it's gonna be cleaner. It's up to you. It's your motion, but if we do each motion separately, each payment
Okay.
separately, and then at least we're isolating. And then there's no question on it.
Okay, that motion passed, so we're gonna go back and,
Start over.
Yeah,
start
I,
over
at this time, I
separately.
would move that we reconsider the payments, each in a separate motion. Each of the payments listed under Finance and General Policy number 1 on the agenda, each in a separate motion. We'll make that motion to do that.
I think you could just read it.
Oh.
Yeah, so just ratify the actions. in
Okay.
the General fund, ratifying. And then we'll just go through each one.
Okay.
If that's okay, with you, Mr. President.
Fine.
Okay. Let's do that.
Then we'll go ahead and do it that way. First, I would make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the September 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $61,626.87.
926, I think. I don't think you said that right.
Oh, I'm sorry, $61,926.87.
Second.
For motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstained. My husband is on this pay.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
Next, I would move to ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the September 2023 invoices from the farmer's market totaling $758.50.
Second.
A motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstained? Okay, that motion passes.
Next, I would make a motion to approve the ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the September 2023 invoices from the fire department breathing apparatus totaling $36,000.
Yeah, it's from the fire apparatus fund, and I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstained? Okay, that motion passes.
Next, I would make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the September 2023 invoices from the payroll account totaling $207,766.67.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any further discussion?
Yes, absolutely. This is where the discussion comes in, where why can't we break this payroll down to exclude one item? And because also,
Because
if
the
we would
solicitor
vote,
just told you why.
You
so,
cannot identify anyone in any particular identifiable way.
Is there another way to do it,
Just,
solicitor, other than identifying that person by name or title?
I don't know a way to do that in which you could both comply with having a public vote so that everyone's aware of what's being voted on, but also
Keeping them,
keeping that name private at this time, as this is a personal matter. So my advice is not to pull out individuals at this time.
okay, well, but
Pull out
if,
the amount, then it gets divided amongst however.
listen, it's been motioned and seconded.
well, no, because there's a lot of complications here.
It's not. She just
No.
ended the complications.
No, I mean, if we vote to withhold the payroll, are we?
yes, you're
Yes.
voting to withhold the payroll from everyone
Yeah,
who works
and
there.
how is that fair?
It's not, so let's
It's
move
not.
on.
But we're trying to accomplish something and we're not getting any advice on how we can accomplish it.
I cannot by way conscious vote yes to pay somebody that
Well-
I don't, where I believe there's an inconsistency in the data.
Then you vote no.
Right.
That's-
Can we move on?
No.
Restore.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay.
We have a second,
We have a
Mr.
motion,
President.
second.
We have a motion and a second for the payroll count. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Abstained?
Abstain.
Okay, I think.
Okay.
Mr. Payne.
I said an aye.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I vote no.
3 ayes, 2 noes, and an abstention. Ayes have it.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, next I would move that we ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the September 2023 invoices from the Educational Service Agency totaling $5,400.81.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Next, I would make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager paying the September 2023 invoices for the credit card, August 2023, $10,031.58.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
Next, I would make a motion to approve the payment of the October 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $229,271.33. Storm sewer totaling $2,010.73. The sanitary sewer maintenance fund totaling $21,905.50. Capital projects totaling $758.05. And the bond fund totaling $232.06.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
And that's all my new business.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to public facilities. Ms. Barron.
Yes, so I have resolution number 1332. It's for the Redevelopment Authority of Allegheny County Gaming Economic Development Tourism Fund. It's for a grant. So I move that we adopt resolution number 1332, designating the borough manager to perform the required duties between the Borough of Green Tree and the RAAC, and execution and filling of an application for funds with the RAAC in the amount of $150,000 to be used for the Green Tree Fire Hall Vestibule and Walkways Project.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I have a question, Mr. President.
Certainly.
So the vestibule, I'm assuming, is in the budget again.
So this,
Can you clarify?
yes, so it will, this is to get some grant money to make the fire hall vestibule and the walkways leading up to it ADA compliant. With that, we would be able to redo that vestibule, and then this money should cover most of that.
So we can't do one without the other.
What-
Meaning, forget about the grant, but
Mhm.
we need to do all the ADA stuff or the vestibule's not coming in.
Well, it really, anytime that you are doing any type of improvement, reconstruction on something, that's when ADA rules come into play. So if we were going to redo that vestibule project or work anywhere on those walkways, we would have to make it ADA compliant.
Sure, but was this not taken into consideration when it was put in the budget? I know the borough manager's not here to answer
I
that
think it was
question.
more than we had anticipated.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll do a roll call. I'm sorry.
Ms. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Panza?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Percy?
Yes.
Mr. Tintori?
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Barron. Public safety, Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you. On the agenda for business, we recently had a Civil Service Commission meeting, which primarily was in reference to starting the exam for new patrolmen, as you folks all know. Now that we've set dates for that and everything, I wanted to make sure we're moving forward with the planned sergeant's promotional exam. So at this time, I move to authorize the Civil Service Commission to conduct a sergeant's promotional exam in accordance with Article 10 of the Civil Service Rules and Regulations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Or abstained?
Thank you.
That motion passes. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the mayor's report. Mr. Shane.
Thank you. I've been quiet, but now my turn to speak. I thank you for the 17 people for coming tonight. That's the most people we've seen in a long time. I had a busy month. I did 6 things. September 14th, the Green Tree Garden Club had their luncheon here. It was mainly for the borough employees, since they did a good job and they helped the garden club, or the garden club helps them. It's a symbiotic relationship. But anyhow, I got to go. They invited also President Tintori was there. So thank you for the garden club to invite us to that luncheon. Second thing I did was participate in Oktoberfest. We thanked the Oktoberfest committee. It was a great day. It was a beautiful day, worked out well. So the police participated also. Green Tree Police had a booth. They were there most of the day, so that worked out very well. Third thing was the Civil Service Committee Commission. I met on September 19th to set a timeline for advertising and testing for new officers. Hopefully, the process, I think the advertisements might have gone out today for the new police officer. And if we get enough good candidates, council's hoping to select 2 new members for our police department. So we thank the Civil Service Committee. Mr. Lindsay was also there. The borough manager was also at that Civil Service Committee meeting to keep apprised of what was going on. Fourth was on September 23rd, I had mayor's office hours. I did have 2 people that came. Aldo was one of them. I can count on Aldo. If he doesn't come, I check his house to see if he's doing okay. But in any event, there was no major concerns, but a lot of good suggestions by the 2 people that came to the mayor's office hours. The fifth thing was, there was a public safety meeting on September 26th to discuss police matters and about the Civil Service Commission, how we were going to move things along. And there was also some discussion about designating the chief once we get new police officers on board. The next thing that I did was on number 6, mayor's meeting. There was a mayor's meeting in Homestead. One of the mayors called it. There were 25. It's a Carnegie Library in Homestead. I must admit I'd never been there. It's just, we got a tour. It's a library. It's also a gymnasium. And it's also a music venue. So I'm sure some people here have been at that venue. It's a very nice venue, but there were 25 mayors there exchanging thoughts and ideas. One idea that I got from being there, that the mayor can attend all committee meetings without invitation. So I'm going to ask to be, just to be advised to committee meetings. Committee meetings are 3 people, but the mayor can show up, invited or uninvited. So I'm sure that I'll be welcome. So, but in any event, that was something I learned at that meeting of the mayors. Come this Friday, October 6th, there's a parade. Keystone Oaks has their homecoming parade. So I will be attending the homecoming parade on October 6th. Moving on to some other things, we got the police report. So the Green Tree Police, we have 8 officers right now, but they're doing a tremendous job. Just in September, they had 3 mental health issues. They had to deal with 3 people with mental health issues, and they have to direct them in the right direction. They have to deal with them kindly, and which they should, and they do, and direct them to the right resources. So we commend them on that. They've dealt with 4 domestic disturbances. There's, we live here in Braintree, but every place there's domestic disturbances. It's not always between husband and wife. Sometimes it's parent and child or siblings. So anyhow, they've been handling that. And the third thing that they've been handling is traffic stops, on routine traffic stops. They stopped 3 different people and they found out they had an active arrest warrant. So they stopped somebody from going through a traffic light. Next thing you know, they're have an active arrest warrant, so we have to arrest them. So that's a tricky situation, arresting someone and taking them to jail. So they successfully did that 3 times just this last month. So just wanted to give some kudos to the police department. Next, Campbell Durant has been, it's now their Civil Service Commission, but now they're Labor Personnel Council. So we look forward to working with Campbell Durant. They're the ones that give the seminar at Penn State every March. Some of us go. Mr. Lindsay attended the last one. I was at the last one, and borough manager was at the last one. And Mr. Romanovich also was there. And then lastly, make a comment here, since everyone can give their own opinions. Sometimes it doesn't get pretty up here. Sometimes it's a little bit ugly, but I'm thinking that we can avoid that if that we take the initiative more. If someone steps in doo-doo, if they apologize sooner rather than later, you avoid a lot of problems. If there's an executive session called sooner rather than later, you can get some of these issues behind closed doors. With or without the borough manager, with or without the borough solicitor, some of these issues need discussed. If it's important to 3 people, let's get it on. Let's have the meeting. Let's say our piece, and it'd be a lot prettier here out in public. So hopefully in the future, we take the bull by the horn, realize that a storm is coming. Let's deal with it. And we might have different opinions. We might have a little bit heated discussion in private, but that's fine. That's how government works, and come to decision. So thank you. End of my report.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, if I may clarify, Mr. Mayor, we have not
Sure.
chosen a new labor council. That's done by councilmatic action. We
Okay.
still have the same labor council that we had before.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it.
apologize for that, but I'm just reading from the report, Campbell Durant has been engaged, this council.
We used them for one thing.
Okay, so I misread that, so I do apologize. And thank you for the clarification. We have not appointed them. We use them for one thing, so maybe we'll use them for an additional thing in the future, but that'd be up to council to appoint them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Move on to reports of committees. And first off, finance and general policy. Anything, Mr. Treasurer?
I have no new information to report at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have anything on infrastructure, since Mr. Romanovich is not here? Anybody from his committee?
There's a lot going on, but was covered, a lot of it was covered in the mayor's, or excuse me, the manager's update to us Friday or Thursday. I'm not going to elaborate. There's things that, we haven't had discussion as a group yet. Just the committee.
In our public property meeting, the bridge came into discussion. We were informed that that's about a year behind schedule. Because it's in the TIP, which I think is the Transportation Infrastructure Program.
Yeah, it's federal funding.
Federal funding that we have to wait on, but that project's behind. But borough manager assured us that the bridge is safe to traverse, and has its periodic safety inspections.
Yeah, I think it's expected monthly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Planning and zoning, Mr. Ray.
Planning and zoning. So in terms of the public hearing or the public meeting for the comprehensive plan, Ms. Bacon would like to explore the November 15th option. I agree that it should be advertised, just not in the traditional form of advertising public meetings, but email blasts, if we can at least do a special exemption for an email blast. This is a very important meeting that really guides the future of our borough in terms of planning, and also putting it on the website and announcing it at the November meeting. Obviously, I've been doing a lot of work in the charter lately. I found related to meetings, I found this to be interesting, that we have our committee meetings in private, and I'm wondering, Ms. Solicitor, if those should be public meetings since they don't pertain to appointed officials, individual employees, collective bargaining, matters of land acquisition, and investigation and settlement of suits for claims in executive session.
For deliberation purposes, I believe they should be public.
So if we just meet and not deliberate, we can still meet behind closed doors?
Correct. So deliberation, and even though it's not a majority of the borough council, if it's forming action, I believe that under the sunshine law, that would be something that would be public. If it's informational, that does not need to be public.
Okay.
So really, that's
I didn't see that in there, but okay.
You have to read the charter with the sunshine law.
Right.
Okay.
So that's informing.
Charter was written before the Sunshine Act.
And that's informing my decision as well.
Related to that, I think, Mr. Mayor, to your point about being more collaborative and open and transparent, I think 2 months ago, we talked about having working sessions. I haven't seen any correspondence or planning to have those meetings. Where are we on that? Cool. Is there interest? Should we talk about that in public since we
I
hardly ever
expressed
get
my
together
interest
and
in
Yeah, I
it.
transparent? So
Mhm.
I think this would be probably a duty of the president to put these meetings together and get them on the
Well,
schedule. I
if
don't
there
know.
is once again, if there's a reason, if there's an agenda,
There's
there's
a
a
reason.
purpose, then certainly we would do that. If you wanted to have, suggest a format or an agenda, yeah, but just to have them, I don't, have it for a reason with an agenda, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
So
But
what's
I
the
don't
point?
think anybody has brought up to have anything specific. If they do, then if you want to do that, but everybody would have to agree to it, I suppose.
When's that gonna happen?
Well, you have to have something that, we don't have anything, no content for anything. It's
I
just
think
have them to
we
have.
would, when we dropped this last time, it felt like we needed a little bit of guidance on, because they have to have an agenda, so it has to be a publishable agenda. And I'm of the opinion that it should be a very focused meeting, not many different things on the agenda. So I think that we would need to build some, what's the word I'm looking for? Guidelines under what kind of things we would want to bring to those meetings.
I mean, if I may, one
Yeah.
suggestion would be to pick the day you want them. And then since we are nearing the end of the year, use the rest of the year to figure out what those agendas are going to look like. And then when you advertise for 2024, you can, advertise, include that as part of the advertisement.
Yeah, we're not
That's great.
recreating the wheel here.
No, we're
Don't
not.
Most other communities have working sessions. I know our planning commission meets more than council.
Yep, a lot of them do, and they have work sessions and voting meetings, but not all.
I think it's apparent after tonight's meeting that this governing body needs to communicate more and that we do need more sessions. So if we're talking about what is the reasoning behind or the justification for having a working session, I think that was clearly articulated tonight.
Well, I think it was articulated just in what our solicitor just said. We could have a working meeting to come to a consensus of what type of things those meetings would be about. So we have to come together to figure out what we're doing in those before we put them on the put further ones on the
Okay,
calendar.
so I make a motion to request our borough manager to put together a proposal based on best practices of other communities that have working sessions and present that proposal to council.
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that passes.
Related to,
But we are planning, we are planning and zoning, right?
Mhm.
these aren't really planning and zoning, but
You're done. Mr. Romanovich is done, so
yeah. I think we're-
formally you are.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
We were
okay.
right in the middle of infrastructure when you were speaking.
Oh,
No, no, you gave it to me.
Did I?
I think it's important that we continually take a pulse on our employees in terms of their job satisfaction, their morale. their level of engagement. I'm a huge believer in the people, employee-centric approach to leading organizations. It's what I do for a living. I think it's important that the employees have an option to provide feedback. When I do it for organizations, it's usually a third party that reports to the executive committee. So I'd like to make a motion that the borough, this council, I'd like to make a motion that this council engages with a third-party consultant to conduct an employee survey and focus groups that reports directly to council, not a specific committee or not the borough manager.
And who would you be, what employees? Every employee?
Every employee.
Okay, so you want a third party.
I want a third party to conduct an employee survey that provides that feedback directly to council.
Yeah, I've got some questions, but I don't know if they can be answered immediately.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of a hard thing to vote on since it's such a broad.
I'm not in favor of it. I have questions on like, anytime I've done this, and I have, it's been with a specific purpose. And just saying like morale isn't enough. Like what's the goal? Like what are the goals and intentions? Like
Yeah.
how would we change? And I think those are my questions. I don't know if they can be answered tonight, but that's.
yeah,
that's
I think the
okay.
goal would be to ensure that we're giving the borough employees the best employee experience possible, that that they have a voice that can be communicated in an anonymous and confidential way, and that in terms of action plan, the action plan doesn't come out until we know what the feedback is. But I think that should be a councilmatic governing body type of approach to ensure, working with the borough manager to ensure that we do provide our employees with the best experience possible. And so that would, if we're open to it, and the motion is, if to engage in this process, the next step would be to find a consultant, external third party to conduct this initiative. And then will probably give us a little bit more guidance on what the specific approach is, the deliverables, and the expected outcomes.
Did you put that motion forward?
I
And
did.
you second it, right?
I did.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I am in favor of possibly doing that, but I'm not in favor of just hiring somebody until we really get a firm grip on what we're trying to hire them for. So I'm going to say no at this point. I think it should be brought up to further discussion before we start hiring people. We should know what we want first. So that's why I'm voting no. The principles make sense, but not at this point in time. So.
Yeah, I'd also like some more information before I can actually take an intelligent vote on that. What it's gonna look like and how it's all gonna work.
Can you do it again, Mayor?
What do we got, 3 and 3?
I don't know, this one's silent.
You want to take a roll call vote?
Yeah,
Let's take a roll.
Ms. Barron,
I have so many caveats, but I'm gonna trust the process and say yes.
Mr. Lindsay,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
no,
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Troisi,
No,
Mr. Tintori.
No.
Just a clarification, would there be another vote by council with the specific vendor?
Yeah.
Okay, so I vote yes.
Thank you. Let's see. Miss, yeah, so in Miss Miller's update email to us, she said that in terms of the peer reviews, that was being presented to only the finance committee, and that there's gonna be a final wrap up and discussion with action items. I'm wondering why that isn't, I mean, that would be something perfect agenda item for a public workshop. But why that's only being considered by the finance committee.
Have all the reports been submitted?
I haven't seen it.
I've seen one.
Wait, when I read that, I thought she was only talking specifically,
With respect to the audit.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah,
not
and
not
Mayor.
what
Mayor's
Craig's the
report.
chairman of, because I don't think we've
Right.
ever met about that yet.
Yep.
And then,
Yeah.
Craig's the chairman of one committee, and David, I believe you're chairman of
Yep, I
one,
submitted my report a couple
Public
weeks ago.
safety.
public
Yeah.
safety, yeah,
I submitted my report.
okay. But- I didn't think she was
Couple
talking
weeks ago.
about all of them.
Hold on. Updates, peer reviews, final wrap-up discussion of all reviews, actionable items will be discussed at the next finance committee meeting in conjunction with the discussion vote. Yeah, so final wrap-up discussion of all reviews and action items will be discussed at the next finance committee.
Well, Mr. Romanovich is,
I'm just asking
Yeah.
for clarification on why
yeah,
she would have said that.
I don't think we can get that clarification because we can't ask her directly.
Mr.
Um,
Trosi, do you have any?
My understanding was we were going to be reviewing peer review with respect to the auditor's report.
yeah, I thought it was like the
Just
peer review of the,
specifically that.
and these two together. That's what I thought was gonna happen. Not all of the peer reviews.
Right.
The one specifically under this headline of finance
Yeah, I
and
mean,
general
she
policy.
said of all reviews.
I know, it is confusing, yeah.
Unless I'm mistaken, I've seen one summary from the 3 peer review committees that were assigned.
Okay, so then I'd like to make a motion that when it comes time to discuss all reviews, all 3 reviews, the public works, public safety and administration, that is done in a public workshop, open to the public.
I will second that one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would vote
Oh.
yes for that. However, part of those, some of those things may be personnel and have to be go into executive to after the public.
Yep.
Portion.
Yeah, there was
Agreed.
lots of personal comments, so
Yeah.
we can't have that.
Agreed.
So then what your motion is essentially, at some point in time, when they're,
I
Yeah.
think,
My motion was that when there is a discussion of all the reviews, right, that we're talking about all the reviews, or just one review, once you submit your committee review,
when they're
in the
complete,
committee, when there's a comprehensive discussion, and especially with action items, that all council should be present. That was, I believe that was my motion.
so you can't have that as a public,
Why not?
because it's personnel.
Well, no, you have to
Personnel.
separate it.
Separate.
Okay,
But most of it is not personnel.
well, we'll use our agenda from that we agreed upon to fill
Yeah.
those conversations.
Let's see. I think I have one more thing here.
Did we?
I think we did.
what was the,
You're voting yes,
I think we all voted yes, didn't we?
because you had said you would vote yes.
Yeah.
Well,
you did.
I just wanted to clarify. I misspoke.
Yeah.
I want to vote yes, as long as we're separating personnel matters into an executive session as part of his motion.
Yes, it's unanimous.
So should we restate the motion as
No,
per?
No, we're fine.
Okay.
And then the final thing is, according to our code, the planning commission may contract for professional planning services, which I assume could mean their own solicitor. The costs and expenses of which, when approved by council, shall be provided through proper appropriation by council. The planning commission would like to consider its own special counsel. I
Was
think I
that
said
brought up in a
solicitor.
committee meeting? Because I don't think there was a planning committee meeting involving discussion about that.
It was brought to my attention by the planning commission chair.
Okay. Well, wouldn't that be something
I'm
that
just-
would be handled
I'm
by
not-
the planning and zoning committee?
Yeah,
also?
I'm not saying that we should do it. I just was getting clarification if where it says may contract for professional planning services would include specific counsel for the planning commission.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I would not say that I think that planning commissions can have separate counsel. I'm not saying you can't. That's a choice of borough council. I think that provision is more talking about engaging a planner. Some municipalities use third parties when they do their comprehensive plan. So it's about, I think that language is specifically authorizing that. But
Yeah, it says employees, engineers, and other persons, so whatever, that
Yeah.
could be.
But I don't think that it explicitly needs to state that your solicitor does not need to be the same for planning and for council, though it can be
So they could employ their own special counsel
with borough council.
with birth, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll take that committee and to my committee and we'll discuss it. And then in terms of the email blasts, I know Judy sent in her update something about an app that the borough intends to use to push out information that would require downloading the app. But I thought somewhere in there it said that the app could push out email. And I just want to get clarification on that because I really appreciated the email blast. It was a quick, easy scroll down. You knew what was going on. I listened to some of the concerns and I agree that some of the enrollments in certain programs might be a result of not having that easy access to information.
I have a little clarification on that because I did some research on my own on it. Yes, it will email out. And it actually can get pretty hyper specific. You don't have to download the app if you don't want to, but it is a way that you could have all of that information and would be, but it also publishes out anything that you'd be interested in. So like say you want road updates, but you don't want events updates, right? Like maybe that's just what you're into. You could just get those updates. And then it also pushes out to not just you would get email, you can roll an email, you can have the app, and then it would also push out to all of our social media channels as well with one click. And it means that the message that's going out is consistent across all boards too. So, yeah.
If I may, and this, I promise this is my last item. Going back to the employee survey that we voted on tonight, I do want this to be a council-driven approach. Would my committee, since I brought it up for discussion, would council be okay with my committee seeking out providers and presenting proposals to council?
Sure.
I would have to put that to a vote.
Okay.
Are you in favor of having
What committee are you referring to? Planning
Yeah,
and
what
zoning committee?
Planning committee.
Or?
I don't think,
I-
we
That
need
would be
to-
really
I don't think
good,
we need to vote on that, Art.
well, if everybody's okay with it, just,
That'd be a, general policy.
Well, it
Yeah.
seems like
Where it
everything
fits
falls
us,
into
like
general policy. I brought it, I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, let's be honest, everything falls into general policy. I
Yeah.
brought it up for discussion. I'd like to lead that effort.
I concur.
Okay. Does
I
anybody
think
have any
we should have a
reservations?
separate, if you're gonna do that, I don't think it should necessarily be the planning and zoning committee.
Okay, who
We
would like to?
don't, we don't have a survey committee, so where would this fall?
Who would like to be on the survey committee?
Could we, here, I present an alternative. Could we have, there's, all of us sit on multiple things. So could we have a makeup where there's 3 different people so we can touch as many of the different committees as possible?
Sure.
So,
I will volunteer myself.
thank you. Who else?
I will volunteer.
Thanks, Ron. All right, there's 3.
Great.
Great, thank you.
that works.
That's the end of my report.
Thank you very much.
Are you sure?
Next up, public facilities and equipment.
Yeah, I have a few things. So first up, The Public Facilities Committee did meet last week to discuss needs related to our parks and public property and beginning to plan for the 2024 year. We did discuss the grant that was on tonight's agenda and other areas of anticipated need. This will include some parks updates for next year and beyond. We really are looking to build with our borough manager a 3 to 5 year plan so that improvements get made on all of our parks throughout the year. We've made some improvements to some parks in my 2 years that we've been here, but we want to make sure that we are circling around. Though not all improvements can be made in 1 year, so it really is important that we take a look and anticipate priority projects for next year and then build a flexible plan so that in case something unexpected happens, we could change that plan. We also discussed our nature center. We did review, or it was sent to us to review the trail development plan that was enacted in 2017. But we will be working with our borough manager to establish a forestry management plan that will take the nature center for the next 3 to 5 years, beginning in 2024. When our borough manager comes back, I would rather her give some further updates on that. I do not, trees aren't I don't know. So let me lean on her. Also, the library director, borough manager, and myself met with the Historical Society early this month to discuss their work in response to the Historical Society's ask for assistance with their work. They came to, as you might remember, I've mentioned in a few meetings, they came to the library asking for help on, moving their work forward. So in that meeting, we laid out some considerations that were researched by our library director in coordination with the borough manager. And we presented some different options that the Historical Society might want to think about that could not only allow their work to continue, but really to grow through their own work and through the years. Currently, it is sitting with them. We had a really great conversation, and the Historical Society is just thinking about their options and thinking about what they would like to see happen in the next few years. If and when I have any updates, I will bring them here to council. The library book sale is this month. The last day for book donations before the sale is this Saturday, October 7th. And the sale is from October 12th through October 15th. So if folks are looking to get some volunteer hours, the library would love to have you on this. And then in absence of our borough manager, I will fill in on some of the things that her and I had said that she would discuss. So the municipal garden with our garden club did meet for a little bit with the light company to get some phased quotes that could be given to some smaller projects throughout next year and several years. So we're waiting to hear from that. I mentioned the nature center. And then in our meeting, we also briefly discussed any potential, which we know has to happen, pool renovation and reconstruction. And so our borough manager has scheduled a meeting with the aquatic architect who originally was hired to do the preliminary design work to kind of discuss the best path forward. As everyone here might recall, we did have 1 million borrowed for this project on that bond. That was from the money that was also going towards the bridge. But now that we are on the tip, that the only word I can think of right now, and it's not the best word for it, but the pipeline of federal government money that could impact how much money we have set aside for the pool potentially. So once the borough manager has a revised timeline for the bridge project, we'll be able to have a better understanding of how much we have to go towards the pool. But like I said, she's having that initial meeting with that aquatic architect. And then last but not least, we have a field over in the Green Tree Park that is primarily used by Point Park University. They pay us an amount every year to use that. And they have submitted a proposal for renovation that they will fund. And we have not yet seen the proposal. It is, there, when I say proposal, I mean like they just sent some ideas.
So it wasn't submitted.
It was an idea was submitted. But whatever would be submitted from this point would be paid for by them, not from the borough. So we're waiting to hear from that, and to see, what they would want to do to increase, the playability of that field. But again, would not come from, our money. And we already talked about the social hall, so that's it.
I would like to make clarification. This is the same aquatic designer that 4 years ago saw the core samples and said our swimming pool without major repair wouldn't last more than 2 more years. And that was 4 years ago. This is that same aquatic designer, correct?
I don't know. I was not on council during that time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I am sorry about that. Yes.
I would like to answer more fully, but I don't know.
If I will ask the manager that question. Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Thank you very much. Move on to public safety. Mr.
Thank-
Lindsay?
Thank you. I think the mayor touched base on it earlier. The Civil Service Commission got their schedule decided, and their appointed exam administrators appointed when we met on the 19th. And I don't know if you mentioned this, Mayor, or not, but the physical agility and written tests are scheduled for November 28th. I know it's a little far out, but we wanted to allow for enough time to receive applications. So there's about almost a 4-week period in which applicants have an opportunity to return their applications to be considered. The Public Safety Committee met Tuesday last week. At that time, we discussed this schedule, brought the rest of the committee up to speed on what was happening at the Civil Service Commission. We discussed a few other things, including the proposal or the memo from the acting chief discussing the potential purchase of new body worn cameras and storage capacity. We discussed that in committee. I think we were all fairly on the same page, although we were under the assumption at the time we had until the end of the year to make that decision. However, a couple of days later, it was brought to my attention that we were going to miss out on a $10,000 discount towards that proposal, and I thought we needed to act quickly. So Mr. Tattori was able to, because the borough manager and the finance director were both out of the office Friday, and I didn't want to miss out on the $10,000 discount that we probably were going to turn around and purchase anyway. I was able to get Mr. Tattori to sign off on it. It was a total package. It's a 5-year package, which includes all of and I emailed this to you guys late this afternoon, so you all have copies of it. So you can always ask questions or I'll bring it back up at another time. But we had to lock that in Friday, but it originally was about a $65,000 purchase over 5 years, which included all new cameras and warranties. And the majority, unfortunately, of the fees were for the cloud storage, which is very expensive for some reason. However, we got the $10,000 off, which brought it to $55,000. And as my committee knows, a $20,000 discount or credit coming back from the county, which would make the total purchase right around $35,000. We will not owe anything until year 3 based off the discounts we got. So it doesn't have to, it's not a budget item for this year, 2024 or 2025. So it'd have to be just in the budget for 2026 at $12,245, it looks like, per year for the final 3 years.
Yeah, and part of the reason why the cloud storage is expensive in this regard is that certain files that are caught on those cameras are deleted right away. Meaning, like, from my understanding with Lieutenant, it's like, they turn it on and it's like there's nothing on the camera. It's just like the car parked, right? And there's nothing. And then that would go. But other stuff, basically you have to keep in perpetuity for a very, very long time. So the files stack up pretty quickly. And that's part of the reason why. It's
Yeah,
a
so we-
large amount.
It's unlimited cloud storage for the 5 years. And then I'm sure it could be renegotiated down the road. But we wanted to make sure that we had to take advantage of the $20,000 discount by the end of this year. Excuse me, and the $10,000 by Friday. So we almost cut it in half, and there's no impact to the borough for the first 2 years based off the discounts we got. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, this can be canceled. So for some reason, the majority of you feel that this is not the right move. You want to do your own research on it or what have you. This can be canceled in its entirety. There's about a 3 or 4 month lag time between the time we're going to get the cameras and have everything installed. So I was assured by the Motorola representative that we could cancel this in case the majority of council didn't want to move forward with it. But we figured we better pull the trigger while we could.
Yeah. And then, I'm sorry, Mr. Lindsay, but 2 other things that I thought were of note, and I cannot remember if they were in that report, because I read that last week, not this morning.
Right.
There, things that I found was interesting is that essentially there's only 2 major companies that handle this type of
More or less.
body cam, more or less. There's 2 major competitors.
Right.
And 5 years is about the lifespan of it. You know, just like any other computer, you sort of have to get a new one and redo things. That 5 years is a pretty standard lifetime for this. So at the end of these 5 years, we would be up for thinking what we would be doing with body cameras anyway.
Right.
So.
We have our storage is currently in a server down in the police office. But they're, without it being in the cloud, any type of power failure or lightning strike or something may lose all the video camera footage. So the cloud's a much safer place for us to store everything, and it's unlimited. The cameras that we have now are Motorola's, and they are nearing their life expectancy. The warranty runs out on them shortly, and they're not even like producing new parts for them now at this point. So it's already a problem, which is why we've come to this point. So
Just very quickly, these are for body worn cameras, not the car cameras. We're keeping the car cameras. So this is body worn cameras. Another thing just to keep in mind.
although as part of the package, the car cameras will be uploading to the cloud, and that's an additional fee that's in the package.
Correct. So with new cameras, but this, as Mr. Lindsay pointed out, the storage goes on the cloud for both the body worn and the car cameras. But think about it nowadays, everything's on video. So if 2 police cars go to an accident scene or something, there's the 2 videos from the cars, there's the 2 videos from the officers. So if everybody's there for 1 hour, that's 4 hours of video. So then the district attorney's handling a case, we have to send them 4 hours of video. I mean, if there's a 3rd officer, most of the time we don't. But anyhow, we need to have storage for 4 hours of video on 1 small case and be able to send them to district attorney. So anyhow, this is going to make it easier for us to send information and back it up and send it to the district attorney when they request videos from the police department.
So
Thank
you may see, and we won't owe this any of it till next year. So until everything arrives and is installed, we owe nothing. But so the first year would be $6,333.75, and the second year is $12,245. So with the $20,000 we're getting back from the county, that more than covers the first 2 years. So just for clarity, and like I said, you guys have the acting chief's memo and a copy of this proposal that Mr. Tentori signed on Friday to enact it and save us the $10,000. Do you have any questions? Let me know. I would think that if no one has a problem with this in the next week, that we move forward with it as it was signed. Okay.
That's fine. I don't know if we just have to ratify that we did that. Or do we?
Because we're not
We can
expecting.
do it next month.
I mean, yeah, we could, since it's not happening anytime soon and we're not out of pocket a dime yet.
Right.
So if we want to do that officially on the record, but I wanted to make sure that everybody was up to speed.
Let's look at it first.
Yeah,
Do
we-
it in October.
I would say,
October
let's do it
or
in next
November.
month. I mean, we're all pretty much agreed, but everybody had a chance to look at the agreement.
Right.
That'd be fine.
So
Everybody's
that's,
okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think it's something we need to do right this minute.
Mm-mm.
That's the end of my report.
thank you, Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to recreation. Mr. Panza,
3 items. Item number 1, we are having an Oktoberfest wrap-up meeting on Thursday, October the 5th. After that meeting, I'll get a summary of everything that went on at Oktoberfest, the goods, the bad, the final numbers, and I will present that to council on November 6th. Item number 2, still a couple weeks left of the farmer's market. Hopefully, I can talk to the rec committee and ask them for their overall summary of this year's farmer's market, and we can make we can make a report come November 6th. Final item, on September 25th at 7 p.m., the Green Tree Borough Deer Task Force met here at this building. And we had talked about, we discussed, we definitely have a deer population problem. And it was decided that we would try to pursue looking into some type of controlled harvest. We'll continue to pursue that direction, and then when we have the information, we will present that to council. That is all I have.
thank you very much. As far as the president's report, number one thing is the electronics recycling event we had last week. We had over 219 people bring in product. I don't know how many tons we had, but we certainly had a lot of it. It was good to see everybody taking advantage of that opportunity. It cost a lot of money by the pound if you went and recycled on your own. It was very successful. Seems to be pretty popular, so that was very successful. Ms. Miller's not here for the manager's report. So
So I would like to make a motion, we adjourn this meeting for council to head to its executive session.
Second.
okay, thank you very much for being here. We are adjourned.